Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 8-month developer message here for the game Let's Live. Today's developer message is coming out in February, and I do apologize for that, but I have been working on a lot of things, and this developer message is going to be a little bit different because I am actually going to be doing a live commentary while I go through what's been done so far. I want to be able to talk about it as I am going through it. Generally speaking, when I make these messages, I record video clips and then edit the video clips together and then record my commentary with the edit and then put that in to give it to you guys. But today I really want to be there actually moving around and kind of showing you guys the mechanics, because there's been a lot of things that I've been working on that have been implemented into the game towards its final working process. Some of the things before I go over it is just like I've been working on sounds for the weapons. So some of the weapons do have new sounds. They're not necessarily the final sounds, but they are changes to try and work with that. I have been working on the furnace, which is right here, and I will show you guys the interaction menu and just kind of what that's going to be. I did showcase the bed at one point, but I'm going to go over that again because most of the bed coding and everything is now officially finished, and it has a new model for it because this isn't the model that I had for you guys before. And then another thing that I really want to go over is moving into making this game work in multiplayer settings. So for a lot of you guys that don't know, most of the time when you create a game in Unreal Engine 4, you actually start it as a solo only game, and you have to either do coding in it or add things to it or change settings within it for all of your items in order to make them replicate across multiple people's games, if that makes sense. So today I'm going to be showing you just kind of what I've been working on. Unfortunately, there's not a lot to show with it, but I will show you what's kind of been in the process. This part is tedious because I'm not familiar with making something solo into multiplayer 100%, but so far from what I've been researching and from what I've seen, there's some good stuff that should help me make it easier, and so it shouldn't take too long as there's no surprises. So with that being said, first things first, we're just going to hop into some of the relevant items, show you guys kind of some of the new changes to some of the map areas. That's nothing crazy. And then go into what I've been doing most of the time so far, which is making all of the individual items, everything on the map, every single individual prop replicate to broadcast across multiple game clients and multiple servers. So with that being said, pretty much what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play and I'm going to set myself up like we're in the game. There's only going to be one player, and I'm going to run this like it's a dedicated server. So when you get in here, and it may take a second for the screen to pop up, once I maximize the screen, you're going to see there's a few things here that you may not have realized that have changed. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, there's kind of like a player icon along with the stat bars have been edited and updated. This may not be their final appearance, but I think they look nicer than what they have been looking like, and I want to start working on the actual heads-up display and making it look visually appealing while I'm doing some of this other stuff. So I did do that. And then something else that you guys might have noticed is that in your first two hotkey sections, you already have two items. And that's how it's going to be anytime you spawn into the game. You're always going to spawn with these two items. The first one being blueprints, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. And the second one being a flashlight. So these two items are going to be helpful for you, necessarily speaking, when you first start, because if you're playing the game at night, you are definitely going to need a flashlight, which your character will actually hold and move around with. And within the game Let's Live, there's going to be what's called an action button. This is going to dictate certain items that you carry may have an action that does something a little bit different. So the action key for right now is set up for F. And so when you press F while holding the flashlight, a light actually turns on and it actually projects. So you will be spawned in with a working flashlight that works in both first person and third person view. You can toggle it on and off as you see fit. So that's going to be something that I think is generally helpful to the player as they're doing their thing. And obviously, I don't want it to be too easy. So as you're running, the light will move and stagger. So you will not always have full control over what you're shining your light on. And then the other thing here is I'm kind of showcasing this early, but I want you guys to know that I'm working on it. The blueprints are going to be what you use to build your base. So the base building that I have in mind currently is a combo of what Just Survive had mixed with the interaction menu of Rust, if that makes sense. So luckily for me, there is a contracted design group called Diffuse Studios through the Unreal Marketplace who has built a base building system that I can work off of. And this is what it is. If you use your action key within Let's Live, which is F, you are able to pull up your build window. Now, I generally like the build window more than the Just Survives opening up your inventory, selecting the thing that you wanted, and right-clicking to place it. And the reason I like this more is because you still have action of your character while you select something, and that way it creates a harder chance for you to get shot while you're building. The one thing I wasn't a big fan of while playing Just Survive was the fact that if you were by chance building something and somebody stumbled across you while you were doing it and you weren't paying good attention, they could just kill you while you were placing your foundation and trying to put up walls or whatever. So this is kind of nice that now instead of going into your inventory and having to stand still for a second while you do it, or, you know, hitting your inventory, clicking on the outside of your inventory area so that your character could strafe back and forth, now you're still within your screen and you're just using a small interaction menu within that screen, increasing your chances of being able to defend yourself if that were to happen. Is that how it's going to stay? It really depends. If I think that there's a better way to do it, or if the community thinks that there's something that may work out better, let me know in the comment section. That's the whole reason I do these messages, is because I want you guys to feel like you can kind of give your input and we can try and make the best decision from everybody. But so that's just kind of where it is. The current items in place are not the props that I would like to use. I want the props to represent more of the original base building that Just Survive had, where you had a larger foundation along with smaller individual pieces. What this currently is set up on is more of like a Rust cubic base system, or like kind of like Fortnite's square base system. Not a big fan of that, and I definitely don't want to keep it that way, but I'm working on models right now to replace the ones that I currently have from Diffuse Studios. And I want to shout out Diffuse Studios, obviously, for doing that. They're like a great design company through the Unreal Marketplace. Saved me a bunch of time in coding, because I could have coded it and I could have done that as well, but that saved at least 3 or 4 months out of the process already. So they're definitely, I'm thankful for them making that. They're going to be put in the credits within the game itself, because, you know, they put in some serious time, and I think that it's necessary to give them credit, even though I don't legally have to. I'm still going to. So thank you for making a build system that I can now work off of to make things a little bit better. The next thing I want to talk about are these few items that I've been working with. The first thing is the metal bed. The metal bed is currently set as a respawn point. So if you build a bed, place it within your base, and then press E, that will now be your respawn point. If you were to die, if this character were to take substantial fall damage, which I'm too far away from anything for that to happen, you would then respawn here, and maybe I'll be able to show you when I have the multiplayer dual screen up here real fast. The other thing I want to show is the furnace. The furnace is what you're going to be able to need to craft certain things, obviously. Just like in most survival games, there's some type of crafting bench, crafting furnace that you use. And if you actually press E on the furnace, not only will it open the furnace container that you can move around on the screen, but it'll also open up your inventory. And that way then you can easily move over items for fuel or contents that you are then like smelting into bars or turning into another item. If you're using a scrap metal, you may be able to melt certain metals into iron casted materials, such as hinges or something like that. This is just the initial process. Obviously there's nothing in here, but there is a turn on button, so that when there are things in here you will be able to turn it on. And so that's your furnace that you will open and close out of to smelt stuff with. And then a few other things is, I do apologize if the sounds are loud. I do have to turn them down. But I have been working on some weapon sounds. And so the first one is the AR. And if you guys can see when I'm making these shots, all of these shots are actually ricocheting off the buildings and creating like a ricochet effect. The next one is the shotgun. I definitely feel like the shotgun still needs to be changed, but it doesn't sound as bad as the first one that I had. And every single bullet that sprays creates a ricochet shot on the ground when it hits. So there's that as well. The other one here is a pistol. And I'm currently working on a few other pistol models, but those are really easy to implement. I think the pistol sounds pretty good. I don't know about you guys, but you can let me know in the comment section. So with that being said, we obviously have, you know, your hammer, your pickaxe, and your standard axe. If you want to repair any of these weapons, you can do so with having required material and a hammer and a workbench. I'm working on a workbench, so hopefully by the next developer message there will be a workbench that I can show you guys too. But you can obviously pick these up. Every single one of these weapons also does swing damage if you were to get close enough to do like hand-to-hand combat with another player. But we're gonna do that right now. So I'm gonna exit out of this screen, and it may be a little bit small to do this, but I'm gonna put them both on one monitor. So now this is for multiplayer options. I'm running it as a dedicated server so that it acts like it's a game within an online setting. And then now there's going to be 2 players, and actually I'm going to bump it up to 3, just because I want you guys to see that there's a larger option than just 2. This is not just a duo game. This is definitely set up to replicate amongst more than one person or more than 2 people. If it can replicate across 3, it can replicate across 60, 80, 100. So this is the part that's going to be hard, because now it's popped up 3 individual windows, and what's going to happen is it's got to spawn all 3 characters. So now we've got, oh, don't want that. I want this one. Okay. So we've got this window here, which is about half the size. And then we've got this window here. So these are 2 people. And then I've got a third window here, which is somebody way in the back. Okay? So just for the sake of doing this, I'm going to control this character. And you can see that I'm moving the character on the other screens. The character's movement is being replicated. And so what I'm trying to do now is work on replicating items, if that makes sense. So like if you can see on both these screens, when I move both these characters, both of these characters can see the items, right? But as you can see, the characters pop in and out of replication. So I have to adjust the settings still so that they continuously stay even when they're idle. So these are all multiplayer replications that I have to fix and adjust. But one thing that I do have going on already, as some of you guys may or may not have seen, is that if you see the weapon that my character is holding is being replicated now in the air. The pickup of both items got replicated, but the actual so right here, both items from the pickup got replicated and my character holding it got replicated, but it stops moving once that happens. The weapon does not move anymore. The reload animation and the firing of the gun still all gets replicated, but when it's in the hand of your character, it does not get replicated, unfortunately. Now, what I want you guys to do is I'm going to be controlling this character on this side of the screen, but what I want you to do is I want you to follow over to the lower left-hand corner and pay attention to the status bar of the character on the left. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into first-person mode, and I am actually going to create damage to this character using all of these weapons. And what's going to happen is when I shoot this character, he's going to take damage. Okay? And so you see there, the character is now at 80 instead of 100 health. If I were to take this axe, or this pickaxe here, and hit him in the hand, he's now at 65, and there is even like a blood splash. So if I take the next axe out and swing at him again, more blood, and he's at 55. Now, depending on where you hit the character depends on how much damage the person will take. Each area is set up differently because obviously more pertinent areas are going to do more damage. So like he's down to 45. Pretty much everything I've shown you is 10 points of damage so far, right? But if I take out the AR and I aim at his head, that took away 40 points of damage. Okay? So if you were to hit somebody in the head twice and they already had some health gone, they'd for sure be dead. Okay? And now you guys also get to see this death graphic that I've put up. And when you die, this is kind of what you'll see. And you'll get to respawn. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this bed as the respawn for this character. And I'm going to run him way out of view over here. Okay? Now I will take this character, and as you can see, there's a dead body. And what will happen is this body will now stay here for 2 minutes after that other character respawned. I can open this dead body bag, and I can see that this player had a flashlight and some blueprints. And I can take those, and now nobody else can have them, and I have an extra spare for any reason, if I so see fit. Now what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to run over to this character again. And we are going to shoot him so that he dies, and when he respawns this time, he should respawn by the bed. So one shot does 40, another shot does 40 again. You do a third time in the arm, that does 10. I think a hand is 5. Oh, I double tapped. Okay, so you're dead, right? You got killed, bummer. Hit the respawn, you spawn right in front of your bed, right where you were before. So these are all of the mechanics that I've been working on this month. I hope that you guys enjoy. I really do apologize that this was a longer developer message, but I really wanted to showcase and show as much as humanly possible. I want you guys to see everything that's getting done and get a chance to just kind of check everything out. So with this being said, I will take this third character that we have just to show you that he's also a working character. We will reload. Oh wait, I have to actually empty this. We will reload this. There is a dead body bag over here. And the character that shot that guy. Okay. And then I'm just gonna put this character out. And a shotgun to the face will obviously put somebody out in one shot. Guaranteed. As you can see, he died. So with that being said, I hope you guys are excited. I hope that if you have any questions at all or if you have any opinions about it, I hope you feel comfortable enough to let me know in the comment section. That's the whole reason I upload these. Like I said, a lot of the stuff moving forward is going to be making the replications across every game client make sense, along with starting to work into making multiplayer the main focus for the game mode, obviously. And then just refinement is going to be the final thing before we start moving into an alpha release. And as much as I'd love to give you guys a timeline or a date for that, I still don't want to set any promises. I've been doing really good about just working on it every single day, every single week, just doing whatever I think that I can to start getting it closer and closer to that. And so far, we've been really good with that. And I think once I feel comfortable in a certain spot, I will give a date. But so far, for the timeline moving forward, the big thing is going to be making everything replicate appropriately. Start working towards making multiplayer work 100% and everything like that. And then once that's done, we can go into refinement, make everything really, really nice looking. Have all of the props in the right places. Make sure that nothing's meshing through anything weird or that anything's glitching out, that there's no transparent areas that people can fall through or anything like that. And then I think we should be golden. Once we start getting to that refinement stage, I should be able to give you guys a definitive allotted amount of time that it should take to do that, so that you guys can start expecting to do an alpha weekend or maybe a few alpha weekends, because the alpha test is going to be you guys helping me make the game even more polished before we do a beta or early access release, so to speak. So with that being said, thanks again. I hope you guys were able to take all of this in. If not, maybe come back and watch it again tomorrow or the next day, just so that you can kind of let it all sink in. If you guys have any questions or comments or opinions about what I've been working on, please let me know in the comment section down below. I really do appreciate all of your guys' support and patience with this. Seeing as in that it's just me doing most of this stuff, it does take some time. So with that being said, thank you again, and I will see you guys next month for the 9th developer message. We're creeping up on a year, and I'm actually really surprised at where it's at. I thought that I would be a lot further behind than I am, so that's a good thing. So yeah, guys, thanks again, and I will see you next month.